Bloody awesome! Bloody awesome!
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to the Bloody Awesome Movie Podcast. My name is Matt Hudson from whatIwatchtonight.co.uk, and joining me as ever from across the pond on this most auspicious of nights, it is Jon Berk of BerkReviews.com and Disappointment Media. Sir, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, Matt. How are you doing this fine evening?
I'm doing very, very well, John. We say it every year. The Oscars, the Globes, the BAFTAs, the CCA, people get very excited for those because people like to see which film's going to get a statue, what film's going to get a new link on their Wikipedia. But we know that the hardcore, the cinephiles, the letterbox lot, the Criterion collectors, they only care about one thing. Who is walking away with the BAMPie for the year? And that is exactly what we're here to do. Again, this year, we opening the new year in film with the BAMPie Awards, the 6th annual BAMPies, where John and myself, we award the best films of the year and other categories as well from 2025. So we look back at the year that was before having a very quick look forward at the year that is coming. And I say it every year, and I know you do as well. I bloody love doing this episode, John, because it's quite fun to go back and rewatch that. Revisit some of the films from last year. But also, I have no idea. I genuinely have zero idea what your choices are. I can probably assume maybe some of them. I don't know what you've chosen.
And you'll have to wait to find out. No, I both love doing this, but also I do find it like stressful in a way, right? Because there's so many things I'm afraid I'm going to forget to, like, maybe I should have talked about this, or like even today I was listening to a different podcast and I was like, oh, I didn't put that down for production design, and then I went to look and I'm like, we don't do production design
Or screenplay.
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, I don't have to worry about that for this. But I was like, well, I guess it's a good thing I forgot to not include it because I didn't need it, and so it worked out. But yeah, like little things like that where it's just I don't want to forget a movie, and again, there's so many like variances, certain days or certain, like a week or two from now, I might be like, you know what, I really think that's a better movie for me than this or whatever. And yeah, there's always that. You don't want to be. It's funny to say you don't want to be wrong about your favorites, but it's like, but you don't want to be wrong about your favorites. And you don't want to leave something out because there's so many. Like this year, I saw the least movies I've watched in a year since like 2017. Basically, like I was less than 300 movies, which I've basically watched 300 plus movies every year since 2016. And I think for like the last 4, I've hit 400 movies, and this is the first year I didn't do that. And for new movies, and that's not new movies, that's movies total, but a lot of that is first time watches. But like new movies from this year, I think I hit 125, and that's a lot. That's a lot of movies. And even though it's not nearly as many as some other people, it's still a lot to then like easily forget something, right? Like, because even there's a lot more than 5 movies that I loved. So narrowing it down and picking, it's challenging. And I always feel like, and even more so with actors, because within a single movie, you could have multiple lead actors, you can have multiple supporting actors that you're like, I want to vote for them, but who do you include? Who do you exclude? There's a lot of nervousness and like concern that I'm going to do the wrong thing, and that stinks.
I doubt that you've ever done the wrong thing at any moment of your life, Jon Berk. Let's not go there, though. Yeah, 125 new films. So that's doing the maths. That's one every almost 3 days, give or take, of a year. It's not bad. I don't check my letterbox because if anyone looks at it, you'll think I stopped watching films in August of 2025. I've just fallen off the wagon in terms of logging, but I do need to go back and re-log a lot of stuff from last year as well, so it shows up on my letterboxd, but also so I can curate my full list. I have a list. I know what my top 5 films are, and I could probably give you my top 20 right now, but I'm not going to. But I know what you mean. There were a few categories this year where, compared to recent years, it was a little bit harder to fill them. Now, that could have been because I had too many potential choices, or in some, I thought, I don't know if it's been a particularly great year personally for me in some categories, so I struggled with some of them. Now, we filled them all, and our decisions are final. So even if a week's time we decide, oh crap, I should have put that one in, Once this episode airs, those decisions are final. So I think without any further, John, I think the fanfare should begin. And I think we should start the BAMPies 2026. Before we get going, are you ready, my friend?
I am ready, as I'll ever be.
Here we go then. So the first award we're going to give out for this year, for 2025 in film, is one which we title Viewing Regrets. Now, it isn't a film that we regret having viewed. It's a film that we regret we weren't able to view. So one of the films that came out last year that we didn't get a chance to watch. And as is the case with all of the BAMPies, for those who are new, welcome. For all of the categories apart from our best films of the year, we have three choices. We have a 3 and a 2, and then we have our winner. So we will chronologically go from 3 down to 1. So John, kick us off with your 3 viewing regrets for the year.
Good Boy, The Plague, and the big one for me is If I Had Legs, I Would Kick You. Um, I'm a big Rose Byrne fan, and the fact that she just won the Golden Globe this past weekend for this movie, and I haven't seen it, hurts me a lot. And I know I need to get to it. Um, it's a movie that I've heard really good things. I've heard some mixed things, but mostly good, especially about her performance, and that's definitely the reason I want to watch it. And I'd plan to get to it. And like you said, similar, I think FYC season, while it's exciting to get all the movies, it's also overwhelming. And I just have so much on my plate that I started to feel like I'd rather spend my time not focusing on movies as much as I love movies. Um, if that speaks to our seasonal depression this year, folks. But it was easier to play some video games and focus on other things that were less passive, I guess, because watching a movie, while it's not truly passive if you're doing it right, it is still like I needed something to distract my brain, and I like my hands doing something, playing a game, that kind of thing was more attuned to what I was in the mood for. So I've spent way more time gaming the last 2 months than I have been watching movies, and so If I Had Legs, I Would Kick You just fell off, and it wasn't one that I prioritized, and now I'm a little sad about it. I will say, without going into details, but Good Boy is one of the rare viewing regrets that was 100% intentional. I didn't feel like I could handle watching that movie, so I
Mhm.
skipped it despite hearing very good things about it. And yeah, so, but If I Had Legs, I Would Kick You is my big viewing regret.
I got slightly concerned at one point there because I thought there was. Firstly, I thought you were calling me a good boy, and then secondly, I thought you were literally saying if I had legs, I would kick you. Till I realised they were the name of the films. Now, a bit of spoilers for later on in the episode, but the dog in Good Boy could quite easily have made my top performances of the year. That is a good boy, and what a fantastic performance from that dog. But for me, then, John, viewing regrets for me. Number 3 is The Secret Agent. Number 2 is Blue Moon, and number 1 is It Was Just an Accident, an Iranian French Luxembourg thriller, which only came out about a month ago in the UK. So it's not like it was out all year, but it's about a guy in Iran who believes he has uh, encountered his former torturer, somebody who tortured him as a younger man. But the other guy is fiercely saying, I'm not the guy you think I am, and this doubt sets in between them apparently, and it's meant to be really very very good, and it was shot in secret because they didn't have permission to shoot this in Iran, so they did it anyway, guerrilla Friedkin style. But I've heard great things about it, but I just sadly never got around to watching it. So it wasn't an accident that I didn't see it, but it was just an accident. Is my viewing regret of the year.
Uh, I won't reveal where if it's placed anywhere for me, but I did see it. I'm a big Jafar
Ooh.
Panani fan, and if you haven't seen I think it's No Bears from a couple years ago, I saw at the Miami Film Festival, and then oh man, there's a documentary that my brain is blanking on everything. I think it's This Is Not a Movie, where it's him. Yes, that's what it's called, because the documentary is him saying, "What if I made a movie, but not making a movie because he's a director who's been arrested multiple times in Iran for because of the process it goes through to become a filmmaker there, and the content of his films is contrary to the Iranian government, so he's constantly a target for being arrested. He's been arrested a few
Mhm.
times in Iran. So, uh, really great filmmaker, and yeah, worth noting, checking out.
Lovely.
All right, so that's our viewing regret category. Next up is most surprising. And what we mean by that is these are films that we didn't know they were going to click with us like they did. And we were surprised by the movie when we walked away from it. It was something that we were like, maybe you went in with a little bit of a hesitation. You went in not sure, and boom, it got you. It was better than you expected, which is always a great feeling because sometimes, well, we'll get to that. Matt, what are your most surprising movies of 2025?
So I have gone for Companion in third place. It is the runner up. I've gone for 28 Years Later. Hesitation. I wanted it to be good, and thankfully it was. But my most surprising film of the year for me was K-pop Demon Hunters, because when it came out, it exploded fairly quickly onto the scene, and I thought, I don't like the animation style when it was just so bright, like the color palette looked crazy. I don't mind K-pop. I quite enjoy a bit of K-pop, but it wasn't quite grabbing me like the idea I really want to sit down and watch this. And then my daughter watched it and absolutely got obsessed with it. Well, I watch it as well then. Man, did I think this film was so much fun. Like the performances were great, the animation was great, the emotion was great, the music was fantastic. The soundtrack is astonishingly good for this. And it blew me away just how much I enjoyed it. And every person to a T who I know have watched this film has either really loved it or at least thought it was pretty good. So yeah, I was surprised at just how much I really got carried away with K-pop Demon Hunters, John. So that's my most surprising film of the year.
Mine, runner up number 3 is Dangerous Animals, a film that I had very little expectation of and was just kind of floored at how much fun I had. Companion is my second, so we have that in common. And then my most surprising was Twinless. Um, Twinless was a film I kind of knew very little about, and when I went to see it, it happened to come to my local theater, which was a big surprise. I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. I didn't know we would get this." It's, I believe, it's not his first film, but it was the first film I've seen of James Sweeney. He directs and stars alongside Dylan O'Brien, who's playing multiple characters. I guess I'll say, I don't know what I'm allowed to say. Lauren Graham from Gilmore Girls is in it, which I'm always kind of a big fan of hers at this point. I didn't know much about this movie. The trailer was kind of unclear what to expect, and this movie got me in every direction. I was kind of floored by it. I thought it was fun. I thought it was dark. I thought it had a lot of powerful things to say. And I thought the script was just really fun. So I had a blast with Twinless. If you slept on this movie, which it might not even be the right phrase, if you didn't know this movie existed, and thus didn't see it, I highly recommend it. It is available to watch digitally, but not on any free streaming services, from what I can tell. So Twinless.
I haven't seen Twinless, so maybe that should go on my my viewing regret as well. So good choices. Let's move on then to most disappointing. So everything you've just heard, flip it on its head, and that gives you our most disappointing films. The films that we went in with higher hopes and ended up feeling just a little bit bummed out about that. It didn't hit us in the way that we hoped. So not the worst film we've seen of the year, just the most disappointing. John, kick us off with the top 3.
Um, so runner-up 1 is Karate Kid Legends. As a
Oh,
big Karate Kid fan, I was really, really excited for that movie, and I also thought the first trailer looked fantastic. Love Hurts. Keyone Kwai, I was so excited that he was going to get to lead in a martial art rom com. How great can that be? Not was the answer. And then Osgood Perkins. I've been a fan. So when we saw we were getting Keeper, I was like, all right, Keeper. Oh
mhm.
boy, how bad is Keeper? It's so bad. I was so mad at the film Keeper that when we got the neon box set and it was included, I immediately turned it into a coaster. Not really, because I can't disrespect it, but I was joking that I'm like, oh, they sent us a free coaster too. Look at that. Because I'll never watch it again. I thought it was absolutely bad. And I was really surprised. And again, these aren't movies that are meant to be bad, but I went in with a lot of positivity. I was much higher up on the monkey than a lot of people. I loved Longlegs last year. I generally have liked most of his movies, and so I was all hyped. I liked Tatiana Teslani, I think is her name. I'm a fan of her. I was
Maslany, yep.
Maslany. I got it. We got there. I defended She-Hulk more than a lot of other people, and so I was in. I was like, yes. And then I was very out by the end of the movie. I was so out. So I was, to say the least, very disappointed. What about
Three
you, Matt?
films.
What are your most disappointing?
Three films I wasn't a fan of there. So my most disappointing third runner-up or second runner-up is Captain America: Brave New World. Our first runner-up is Avatar: Fire and Ash. I go in
Oh,
with high expectations that we're going to finally get an Avatar film that's actually any good, and sadly, not this time. But my winner for this, John, they promised us a rebirth of Jurassic World Rebirth, and all we got was the same old that we always ever get. It's just the same stuff packaged in a Scarlett Johansson, Mahershala Ali, lovely looking package. But I just thought we are going to get something different, but they stuck to the formula. Doesn't mean it's the worst film of the year, and I'm not going to ever complain that it is. It's average at best, but I was really hoping that the rebirth was going to be a literal let's give you something new here. So I came out of Jurassic World Rebirth, John, the most disappointed of the year.
well, that one hurts me a little because I did like that one. I clearly, myself and David, I think we liked that more than almost anybody else. It
I
seems.
think he did.
But we saw it at a mystery screening, so maybe it was just like the right atmosphere because people were very hyped to be at the mystery screening for a Jurassic World movie because most
Big
of the
film.
mystery screenings are a lot smaller indie films, so no one was like really anticipating that. Next, though, we leave our disappointing and surprising, and we go to some best. But the next one is best international film. Uh, so this is a hard category for us because we don't live in the same country. So technically speaking, movies from Matt's country could qualify as my international film, and vice versa, which would be a large swath of the movies that Matt has seen this year would
It
qualify
would
as
be crazy
international
if
if
I
it was
did
American.
claim that as well.
And we don't unlike the Oscars, we're not saying foreign language films, so they don't have to be in another language to qualify here. It's just not. I guess technically it's not non-American films because I think that's the criterion you use as well, Matt.
Yeah.
Uh, we should probably rename that category somehow. But nevertheless, what are your three?
So my three films, two of them I saw at the Fantasia Film Festival this year. The first runner-up was I believe it was a Persian horror film called Foreigner. I enjoyed that a lot. My second runner-up or first runner-up is I believe it's a Japanese film called Good Game. I had a great time with that. Very heartwarming uh, film about teamwork, collaboration, and just getting over your issues with each other. But my winner of the best international film is actually it's a Joachim Trier film called Sentimental Value, a film which I came to fairly late last year, and it stars Stellan Skarsgård in the lead role. It's a tragic comedy type film about a father who is trying to a former artist, performer as in an actor, who's trying to get back to his glory days, but in doing so, he drags his family into this dream again of his, including repurposing the family home as a studio, and he's trying to also reconnect with his older daughters at the same time. It's just a really, really good film. It's quite hard hitting at times. It's got some very decent comedy in it, and it's well worth watching if you can get a chance to watch it. It's a real decent look at generational trauma, family, and how art can shape people, and those two elements as well. So, Sentimental Value, the Joachim Trier film, is my best international film of 2025, John.
Very good movie. I also liked it. My three, The Secret Agent is number three. It was
Ooh,
just an accident is number two, which we just talked about. But my number one, and debatably one of my favorite directors, is No Other Choice by Park Chan Wook. Um, I have been a big fan of all of his movies. The podcast that I talk about the most on this show, which is Blank Check, covered Park Chan Wook a few years back. So I caught all of his I think it's theatrically released films because there's a few feature length films on his list that I've never seen, and I don't remember if that was why because they didn't cover them on the podcast, so I didn't seek them out. But like I had to order like JSA on special like Blu-ray because it was you couldn't see it anywhere here. I had to resort to slightly questionable means in order to see. I'm a cyborg, but that's okay because it was not available in America to watch, so I had to find a method in which to watch it. Like I've gone out of my way to see all of his movies, and this was one of the first times that I was gifted it by Neon. They gave us in the box, and I was so excited because it wasn't playing anywhere near me to go see it in the theater, which I would have loved to do. In fact, I've never got to see a Park Chan-wook film in the theater, so it would be quite the experience. Plus,
Same.
his camera work is among the best. And this movie, it's a dark comedy, which is kind of his the area he likes to paint in is darkness in general. I think almost all of his movies have some element to that. There's a lot of still levity and the performances, the script, there's just so much about No Other Choice that's just incredible. If you haven't seen it, which is probable, seek it out. It's phenomenal. It's looking like it's going to be kind of missed with a lot of the awards. It was not really brought up at Golden Globes.
Mhm.
We're hoping it will show up at least in the Oscar discussion somewhere, but I'm a huge fan of his work. Again, his work is challenging to say the least. Like Old Boy is a phenomenal movie. It's hard to tell everyone to watch it knowing what's going to happen, and but I would say this one, yeah, no, it's still pretty hard to recommend to everyone because there's a dark humor element, and dark humor doesn't work for everybody. But No Other Choice for me, it was a clear just top of the line for me. And that's not to take away from the other films in the international category, but for me, like Park Chan just jumps up pretty quickly. So
Yeah, you could say there was no other choice for you. You could.
yeah, you could make the dad joke if you would be so
Here
inclined.
we go. Let's move on from that awful joke to a category that John holds near and dear, or at least he usually does. Anyway, usually does, because I can preempt what's coming here. But we are moving on to best documentary feature here. So it's in the title. Which documentaries have we seen this year that we have loved? Now, usually JB eclipses me with his viewing of
Yeah.
documentaries, and I imagine he probably has still done this year. I have seen the requisite amount. But John, take us away with your three, and also have you also seen that many this year?
No, by far this I was scraping to get to 5. I had to have 5 viewed. I ended up accidentally watching 6 because I kept forgetting one counts as a documentary because it's a weird hybrid.
Mhm.
And that's actually my number 3, which is I do want to sell this for just a second, but there's a band from the 90s called Pavements, who I had not
Yes.
really listened to, but now I have very much listened to. But there's a documentary by Alex Ross Perry. Documentary is a unfair term for it because it's more than a documentary. It's a hybrid of narrative film and documentary called Pavements with an S. Um, really great, love it. I bought it. I'm so happy. Griffin from Blank Check is actually in it. Alex Ross Perry is a regular guest on Blank Check podcast, so it wasn't total surprise that Griffin got cast. But yeah, Pavements is my number 3. Number 2 is Come See Me in the Good Light, which kind of shattered me emotionally, but really,
Oh,
really great, definitely worth watching. And then the documentary that I think just it was, yeah, I can say this. I had to hesitate for a second because I couldn't remember if the CACF awards have been announced, but it won best Central Florida film at the CACF. It's called The Perfect Neighbor. It's set in Florida. It's on Netflix. If you have Netflix, folks, it's predominantly, I think it's all police body cam footage. But for a surprise twist, the police are not the bad guys here. They just used body cam footage to to show this story as it plays out because this neighbor keeps calling the police on her neighborhood people,
kids and that, yeah.
and the body cam footage really showcases the interactions and both with the cops and with the neighborhood and with the individual who keeps calling the police, and then the tragedy that strikes as it goes without any spoilers. But it's an undeniably compelling documentary. It's a really great use of this body cam footage, and I think a masterclass in crafting the narrative from the found footage, legitimate found footage for a change. I mean, it's not found in the way that we like Blair Witch, we found the camera, but
Yeah, yeah.
it is actual footage that was not designed to be a narrative device. That they do a great job of structuring it where it does share the story, and they use some other audio. I think they use some like phone call 911 stuff to like help supplement the content, but it's really well structured, and it's a story that I think is worthy to be heard and should be heard, especially in our very tumultuous times that we're living in. So that's my number 1. I'm curious for you because I don't know what you actually watched. I never know what docs you've taken the time to see.
I've certainly seen 3, which is a good thing. But I have actually seen more than 3 this year. So my number 3 position was the New Yorker at 100. I found that to be a pretty fun watch of the New Yorker turning 100. My next runner-up is it's a documentary called My Undesirable Friends, Part 1, last air in Moscow, and it's independent journalists in Moscow or Moscow as the Russian government cracks down during their illegal invasion of Ukraine and trying to stop them from having the free speech and trying to stop them documenting the country as it heads towards this authoritarianism regime. It's very, very, very good documentary. But my number 1 documentary is one you may not have heard of, but I had to put it as my number 1. It's called The Perfect Neighbor, and it's on Netflix. And John has just spoken so eloquently about it. Welcome to America. Holy moly! It was for somebody on this
Florida,
side of the
even.
pond. Well, yes, I know. Somebody this side of the pond who obviously we hear everything that happens in the world but obviously more so with our cousin over there in the States, who's genuinely always appalled by what I hear. Watching this documentary was a real eye opener. It shows just how I wouldn't say evil people are. It's just I don't know what the emotion is. It's just the entitlement that you could do such a thing to somebody who's only to these people who are only out there just living their life and actually not causing any real problems whatsoever. It's a real hard hitting documentary. Like you say, it's filmed in that body cam perspective, which adds a real eeriness to it because, as you say, it's less found, it's more presented footage, but it's real. You know what you're seeing
Yeah.
is what happens, and the way it's obviously structured in classic documentary style. Let's start at the end and show you how we got to this moment. It's a tough watch, but as is the case of most good documentaries, like the ones we've picked, if it can raise some kind of awareness or eventually one day make people say, huh, maybe we should stop just doing the things we've been doing and start again, that would be great. So, yeah, the first sweep of the BAMPies 2025 or the 6 BAMPies is The Perfect Neighbor in documentaries.
That is a fun coincidence because I don't even remember. I think did I tell you to watch that one? I can't recall if that was a
You
me
probably
influence
did
or
at
not.
some point.
Well, if so, yay for me. That said, best animated feature is next up, and this is a category that, um, you know, we my kid's grown now, so like it's harder for me to see all the animated films without looking like a bit of a weirdo. Matt still got a little bit of excuse, although his daughter's much more interested in horror movies than animated films. Uh, but nevertheless, Matt, what is your animated feature films?
So my number 3 for the year is In Your Dreams, which is it's not Pixar. I want to say DreamWorks film. It may not be any of those, but it's a very decent film. It looks really good. It's got some good songs. It's got good heart in it. It's quite funny. The story is very decent. The acting, the voice acting is very good as well. It's a Netflix film. Sorry, so I enjoyed that. My number 2 runner up for the year is Predator, Killer of Killers, just because I had an absolute blast watching the Yautja absolutely tear things to pieces. And probably as no surprise, my number 1 animated film of the year is K-pop Demon Hunters, for all the reasons I said in my most surprising, because for me on a personal level, I just had a great time with it. That's what I want. Which film am I still remembering at the end of the year? Which film do I still have the soundtrack on in my at the end of the year? Sometimes against my will when I'm in the car with my child, but it's not any of the others. It's K-pop Demon Hunters, and it's exploded. And I just think it's a really good film. And also, as other people have mentioned, the ending is exactly how the Rise of Skywalker should have ended. So take that, Lucasfilm. So yeah, K-pop Demon Hunters was the best animated film I saw this year. John, I'm very interested to hear your 3 though.
I'm pretty sure at the end of K-pop Demon Hunter, she just says, "I am Skywalker," but it's fine. My number 3 is Predator, Killer of Killers. For
Nice.
all the reasons you said. Little Amelie or The Character of Rain, which is phenomenal. If you haven't
Mhm.
heard of that movie, listeners, please seek it out. It's so good. And then my number 1, without any hesitation, is actually Minions from like 4 years ago. No, it is K-pop Demon Hunter.
Wow.
A movie that I slept on for a really long time, and not because of a judgmental thing as much as I was just like, well, this movie's not for me. I don't listen to K-pop. I'm not big on animated films. I obviously I have a very soft spot for Ghibli and Pixar, but I
Yeah.
don't like seek out all of the animation. I'm not a big I like all things really when it boils down to it, but it's not my go-to genre. It's not where I like prioritize. As I mentioned, partly because I'm always like, well, I'm not gonna be able to see it in theaters. There are at least two animated films that came out this year that I didn't see because I didn't want to go by myself to the theater. But I didn't have to with K-pop Demon Hunter, and not only was I kind of instantly like hooked once the song started, 'cause I'm like, okay, I love this, and I love that the musicians are part of the action. It reminds me of Scott Pilgrim versus the World in that way, like where
Mm.
those are things that click with my sensibilities. I love up tempo music, and the music in this movie is predominantly up tempo. And I love martial arts movies, and I love a good heartfelt found family, which this movie is all about. And then you start listening to the real life story about the creation of this movie, and it just shatters my heart. I've teared up multiple times listening to her Grammy, or not Grammy, Golden Globe acceptance speech. She deserves a Grammy. Give her that too.
She
And
deserves the damn Oscar as well.
dude, I have listened to the songs of this movie so many times on my own since I heard it. Not counting all the times I hear it just out in the world, which is always I'm always like, yeah. So yeah, I'm all in K-pop Demon Hunters. I think it's fantastic. Really great story overall and a fun watch. It's just a blast to watch. It like really moves so much.
Yeah, and it's on Netflix. So if you've got kids or haven't got kids, just want to have a good time, put it on Netflix. We don't think you're going to be disappointed. Our second category in a row with a sweep. This time it's K-pop Demon Hunters. So let's move on to one of our relatively new categories then. It had its debut last year in the BAMPies, and that is Best Stunts, which I believe we both voted for The Fall Guy last year, the film about stunts. So I'm very interested, John, to hear your three best films of stunts this year.
So I'm always unclear too, like what qualifies as stunts for some of these, and then there are ones that are just blatantly obvious. But my runner up is F1. The racing in it is pretty phenomenal. One battle after another. Mostly for the epic car chase. Towards the end of the film, and then the one movie that I kind of don't love, but the stunt is undeniable, and I still can't believe this movie came out this year, or 2025. In my head, it was like 2 years ago. But Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, there's stunts in that movie, as always with the Mission Impossible movies, that make it stand out. I really wish I loved the movie more, but those stunts did make it sufferable. Like you're like, yeah, it was fine. I'd sit through it just for those to watch those stunts because they are impressive. Um, the plane one is this one, right? Like I'm not mixing up the
Yeah, oh
movies.
Christ, yeah,
Okay, dude, this movie does not feel like it came out this year. Like I feel like I saw it
yeah.
so long ago. But yeah, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning is my winner for best stunts.
Yeah, understandable. Anytime Tom Cruise is hanging off an airplane in a burning parachute, and
Yeah,
he's going to win. So, for me, my third film, my second runner-up is Sisu: Road to Revenge. I very much enjoyed the first Sisu, and this is just another
it's
practical, heavy fight to the death. My first runner-up, though, is Warfare, the Alex Garland, Ray Mendoza film, because the stunts that they get do in that film, like the very real explosions or pyrotechnics, should I say, going off next to the very real actors and getting very real reactions, and everything that happens to them in that is both very impressive, but also bloody harrowing as well to watch, as is the film. But clean sweep number three, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, had to win for best stunts this year. Sometimes you almost feel like you're taking away from other people when you give the film which everyone's going to pick, but there's a reason why everyone's picking it, and for the reasons you said. So I won't harp on them for too long.
to be fair, it's a movie. One, it's a movie that kind of warrants the award being added to the Oscars in the first place, and then
Right.
two, it's a franchise that lives and dies by the stunts. Like, and
Yeah.
so
And there's
it
loads in
glad
this
that it,
one.
yeah, and glad that it went that big for this final one, even though the story and stuff kind of falls apart. But next up is best cinematography. These are the films that we think stand out for the visual camera work. I'm so bad at getting names of the cinematographers. I got to get better at that. But Matt, why don't you run us down your top three?
I will do at the same time that I get the cinematographer for my winner because I want to make sure I get this one right. So my number three for cinematography is a film which I did see. Now, listen, it came out on the 1st of January 2026, but it's a 2025 film as far as I'm concerned. My first runner-up is Hamnet. I thought that film was absolutely stunning to look at. I finally did see it, yeah. My first runner-up is Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, a delicious looking film, I thought. But my number one film in terms of how it looked this year was Sinners. The cinematography was by Autumn Durald, and I think she absolutely nailed the cinematography for Sinners. I thought it was a gorgeous looking film, from the composition, from the very natural lighting that was used, to the camera movement. And the camera movement was deliberately, how do I put this in a flattering way, not flashy. It's very, very patient in how she moved that camera, and the visual storytelling that came from the work that she did, rather than having the characters, Michael B. Jordan, and they're like exposit all over you, which some people wouldn't mind. But it's the visual storytelling through the cinematography by Autumn Durald floored me this year. And Sinners is going to be in a lot of people's lists for many, many things at the top, but I really think that the cinematography stands out in Sinners this year. So I had to give it to Autumn Durald and Sinners.
I mean, one that is undeniable for sure. My three, I mentioned the cinematography and No Other Choice, so it's not my number three. It could be a number one. I think a lot of these movies could be the number one, but we have to pick one. Train Dreams, which is on Netflix right now, the Joel Edgerton. It's a slow burn kind of a western, so you have that landscape cinematography. It's undeniable. But my number one, and the reason why it's my number one is because while watching it, I was just like, holy cow, I love this camera work, which I don't always do. I'm not always like aware of those kind of technical elements when I'm watching the film because I'm so focused on story and character. A lot of times all of those pieces just help to inform those elements. But while watching one battle after another during the car chase over the hills, I was just like, oh my God, the camera work. Now, you could also argue that's the editing in that sequence too, because there's a lot of the way the scene is edited. But I just was blown away, and also kind of like, how are they filming this? Because this is a practical chase and it doesn't make any sense how the camera's moving in this sequence. And I haven't let that go. So for me, it was easy to go with one battle after another. And the cinematographer, of course, is Michael Bauman or Bowman. I'm not sure how to say the BAU, probably Bowman. And yes, of course it's him. Who else could it have been? It's not like one of the five cinematographers who I know by name. Um, but he also did he's only done Licorice Pizza in this. So there you go. And I've seen both of those, like both of those. But that sequence on one battle I just thought was phenomenal. So it's what bumped it up for me at number one.
Yeah, that's a film which could have quite easily gate crashed my top three. It's definitely in the top five. So let's move from cinematography to things that look good to things that sound good. Best score, and I always preface this when it's my turn to host this particular one. That I love hearing John's thoughts on this. I like hearing John's thoughts on any film, but because you've said many times before that you don't often resonate. Scores don't often hit you in a way unless they are that powerful. So I'm always excited to hear your top three. So hit me with your top from last year.
Yeah, and a part of that, like similar to what I just said, is like a lot of times if the music's working for the movie, I don't notice the music. And if a lot of times if I notice the music, it's jarring and I don't like it. That's actually not the case for all three of these. I think in this case, No Other Choice, number three. Number two, One Battle After Another, because that score it's that example where it's really making you aware of it, but it works for the movie so well that I was just like, yeah, I'm feeling the score. I'm really into it. But the obvious score to me this year, and one that I think we're going to hear a lot about, or if you're watching the Golden Globes, it will be left off the air, is Sinners. I really loved every aspect of music in the movie, but the score was top tier. I know the guy's name, but it's not
Ludwig
gonna.
Göransson.
There it is. I would have mispronounced it, so I'm glad Matt said it. Um, I really love the score in this movie, and it just does so much to help tell the story, which again is kind of my issue with some other scores where it feels like it's working either against it or it's working so well that I don't notice it. This was that perfect kind of combination where I noticed it, but also thought it was doing everything it could to make the setting and the tone of the film really, really work. And of course, he does more than just the score. He's involved with like all of the elements of music that are built in, because this movie has performance as well, and that's not technically part of the score, but he's involved. My understanding, he's involved with all aspects of music in this film, and it really shows. There's just this connection to music that I find one of the things that draws me in. I mean, the opening title card of Sinners mentions music and how it plays a factor into the overall storytelling that we're going to get to, and it just really clicked for me. So it was undeniably going to be number one for me. So.
Damn, it sounds like a slam dunk choice as well. My second runner up is One Battle After Another. Wonderful score. My first runner up is again Frankenstein. I think it had a wonderful score. And my winner for best score is Ludwig Göransson's Sinners, because of everything you've just said, John. The it feels and sounds so delightful, but the way that they use it almost sparingly, the music is more of a sound bed. It's more about the mood of the film than specific themes anyway, and it's quite texturally it's quite unique at times. I think it's just really, really, really well done. And Göransson, Oscar-winning Ludwig Göransson, goes from strength to strength to strength whenever his name is attached to anything. Because for me, Black Panther, and then he scored and gave us the iconic Mandalorian theme. And did the music for the first 2 seasons of that. And he's coming back for the Mandalorian and Grogu this year as well. But whenever I see his name attached to something, I get excited because I really like his compositions and the way that he utilizes this weird array of instruments he has to create these soundscapes, these sound beds, these mood boards, as well as being able to create fantastic themes for films as well. And he does it for Sinners as well. So for all the things that Sinners does well, for me, cinematography, but also the score really, really blew me away this year. So again, another clean sweep, John. Sinners for score.
Yep. So next up is a category that does require some explanation because it's most feel bad. This is not a category of movies that make us angry or unhappy, but they're kind of intentionally going to leave you with a downer, like you're going to feel bad afterwards, and and sometimes that's a good feeling. That's the feeling I want from certain stories and certain movies. So Matt, what are your top 3 most feel bad movies of 2025?
It's an interesting category, this one. And again, it's not films that I hated having seen, but man, did I feel heavy afterwards. The second runner-up is Sorry Baby. The first runner-up is Die, My Love. They already sound sad as it is. And my winner for most feel bad, though, for the film that just made me feel just bloody miserable after watching it, is Bring Her Back by the Philippou brothers. I actually think it's a great, great, affecting horror film. And Sally Hawkins is fantastic in that, a really horrible woman in that. But like you've mentioned previously, it's not a film which I'm openly quick to suggest to people, oh, what's a good horror film I should watch? A new one. Oh, I kind of want to say Bring Her Back, but I also don't really want to put you through that or make you think that that's how I get my rocks off on a Friday night, by watching Bring Her Back and just feeling so goddamn bleak. But really good film, but boy, oh boy, is it a emotionally draining, exhausting experience. That was my most feel bad. What have you got, JB?
So, I went Train Dreams, which is kind of undeniable. There's the one of the final shots is one of the most memorable frames of film that I saw this year. I don't think I'll ever get the image completely out of my head. It's not like in a horrifying way, but in a impactful way. Uh, Runner up 2 is Bring Her Back, which does have frames that I'll never get out of my head in a horrifying way. But also, yeah, undeniably, just what a powerful movie. Easily could have been my number one as well. But, and maybe controversially here, because I'm not sure if it's fully feel bad, because there's also some optimism, but I really wanted to talk about this movie, so I put it here, and it's Hamnet. Hamnet is a movie about grief. So is Bring Her Back, and so is Train Dreams. So all of them are feel bad movies, but I think of the three, Hamnet offers the most optimistic outlet for grief, that there is a way to get past it, and yet it's still like I don't know if a movie devastated me more than Hamnet this year. There's a single moment I don't want to say, but I will say that moment is a more of a feel good, but it's the relief of the grief in that moment that really shattered me. That while I was watching, I just started like absolutely bawling, and um, but it's still like crying never like I don't feel good after crying for a long time, so it's undeniably a feel bad. Um, but excellent movie, and I wanted to have it somewhere in my talk of films, and it wasn't going to get to be like in necessarily in my top 5. So I was like, well, and again, there is genuine here. Bring Her Back probably made me feel the worst, like where it's just like life is terrible. But Hamnet, I think, made me feel the worst but there's hope at the end of this pain kind of moment. So that's my pick.
I love how you're able to bring positivity out of such grief and trauma. But well, let's continue that trend here on the BAMPies and go from most feel bad. Guess where we're going now? Most feel good. So, which films did we come out of the theatre or the streaming service having seen the film and felt so uplifted after seeing? So, again, it's not our best or most favourite film of the year. It could be, but what film did we feel the best after seeing? So, JB, hit me with your 3.
So my runner-up one is Rental Family, with Brendan Fraser, because it just is. There's a lot about that movie. There's some sad moments in that movie too, for sure. But I think there's the goal of the film is this optimism. And it clicked for me. Kokonada's Big Bold Beautiful Journey, a movie that a lot of people hate, with Margot Robbie and Colin Farrell. I really enjoyed, and so did my wife. And there's a really great cover from Mitski on it that I think is phenomenal,
Hell
and people should
yeah.
listen to. And then my number one, ironically, this movie is a rebranding of a character that maybe just, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago told us that the S stood for hope and gave us none. The new version does. It's Superman. James Gunn Superman, so optimistic, so hopeful. There's a scene where he saves a squirrel from being crushed by a giant monster. And it just speaks volumes to Superman. I'm getting honestly a little misty eyed talking about it, because I don't think we expected such hope and optimism. I think even some people were like, well, James Gunn's sensibility, he's always positive, but there's like this really dark edge to it. Just watch Peacemaker. That's not Superman. Superman is not that at all. James Gunn did not James Gunnify Superman. He did make a James Gunn movie, but the character is the purest, most optimistic form of Superman. He's idealistic, he's romantic, and I loved every second of it as a result. It's a movie I've only seen once. I've listened to
Wow.
the one song with Iggy Pop and the other, I'm a punk rocker, yes I am. I've listened to that song a bajillion times. Spotify thinks it's my favorite song right now, and it's partly because it has the energy that I think the movie exhibits, and I haven't needed to watch it a second time because I remember it so vividly. But it is a film I plan on rewatching at some point. But that is my most feel good. I was so pleasantly surprised with how positive I felt watching Superman.
That's to say that they didn't James Gunnify Superman is probably the best thing I've heard this year so far, because it's very true. The film maybe, but the character nailed the what Superman stands for. So that's a great shout. My number 3 most feel good of the year was The Naked Gun. Why? I just wanted a comedy which I could find stupid and laugh at, and I finally got one which was pretty good fun, and I laughed a lot throughout. My number 2 feel good of the year. Again, some people may squint a little bit at this one, but I put it on there because I did feel like it nourished me emotionally in some ways. I found it quite tender, and that is The Ballad of Wallace Island. I think the film was fantastic anyway,
Yes.
but I think in amongst the moments which are a bit more bittersweet, you do get a lot of uplift as well. And my number 1 film of the year is a film I know that you saw, John. I know that you were very up on, and it's a film which, again, you may think, how feel good, really? But my word, did the Penguin lessons make me feel so uplifted throughout. And obviously, we're not going to spoil anything. How it all ends is one thing, but there's still hope. and there's still an uplifting message even at the very end of the film. And seeing the teacher bond with this penguin, it's such a warm film. The emotionally healing arc of the characters is fantastic. It's gentle, it's affectionate, it's not mawkish overly, and it's not trying to be anything other than what it is presenting to you. It's just a bond between man and animal, and it's going to make you feel all the things by the end of it. But when I left the theatre having watched it, I just really felt good about life after that film, and goddamn, could we all do with a bit of that. So I think Steve Coogan's great in that as well, as is the Penguin. But yeah, The Penguin Lessons was my most feel-good film of the year, JB.
I love hearing that because that's one that I recommend with always a little apprehension because I'm not. It's such a like obvious one for me that I don't know if it's as good as my brain says it is. But it really, really works for me. But I love that it worked for you as much as it has because that makes I'm like, oh, it's not just me. It is actually like a solid movie. It's not just because it's about teachers and has Steve Coogan in it, and I just like Coogan a lot.
And
All
penguins.
right, and Penguin, of course. I mean, how do you not like the Penguins? Have you ever heard Benedict Cumberbatch's mispronunciation of the word penguin?
Yes.
He does like a voice. It's so funny. Um, all right, so after we do our most feel good, we're gonna get into a. I think last year was the first year we had the best hybrid performance category, which this was an attempt to honor voice actors, motion capture actors, things like that, who often get neglected in the acting categories by the big awards. And this year, there's a few options. I'm going to mispronounce one of my names when I get to it, but Matt, I'd love to know what are your top three best hybrid performances?
I want you to go to yours now. I want to hear you mispronounce these names because it's the highlight of the show. So for me, in the second runner-up position, I've gone for Craig Robinson, who performed Baloney Tony in Your Dreams. I thought he brought a lot of
Oh,
warmth and fun to that character. For my first run-up, it was a film which I didn't think was all that narratively, but I thought Zoe Saldana in Avatar Fire and Ash, she brings it every time. I thought she's really very, very good in that performance capture role as well. But for me, now, but I've kind of cheated a little bit for this one, John. It is a hybrid performance, but I've literally gone for the cast of K-pop Demon Hunters because I think that the cast who play the speaking parts do their job really well, but then I also think the performers who come in to do the singing parts are fantastic as well. So I haven't written down. So you have Arden Cho, who plays Rumi, who's the lead vocalist, and EJ is her singing voice. Rumi, you've got Mei Hong as Mira, and Audrey Nuna provides her singing voice, and an actress who I think is great, Ji Young Yu, who was so good in Smoking Tigers and a few other things. She is Zoe, and Ray Amy provides her singing voice. I just think they all coalesce together just to make this fantastic experience. Now, the animation was all done by animators, there's no performance capture, but I just think that what they do together and how they blend, moving from that's the performer, and now we're going to get the singer come on, and well, to me, it just sounds essentially like the same person. I don't think of it as two separate things. It's great, and of course, everything we've mentioned before about how good the film is a lot. A lot of that is due to the performances from the voice cast and the singers. So it's a bit of a con to say the cast of, but the lead six of K-pop, and you could chuck the Sarja boys in there as well because they're great too. But everyone in K-pop Demon Hunters who has a double role is brilliant, John.
agreed. I didn't think of. I actually did go motion capture for mine. My number three or runner up is Demetrius Schuster Kolamata from Predator Badlands. I don't know for
Did
sure
quite
if
well.
I nailed that name or not. It might be Koala, but that seems wrong. Una Chaplin from Avatar: Fire and Ash as Varung, because she's
Yes.
one Charlie Chaplin's daughter, and or not daughter, good lord, granddaughter, maybe great granddaughter even. And then I'm a big fan of Zoe Saldana, and she has brought so much personality to motion capture performances and or green face performances that I just any chance I get to give her credit for what she does, I want to give her credit. So even though Ona Chaplin is the kind of debut breakout from Avatar: Fire and Ash, Zoe Saldana is 3 movies in, and she's easily the best part of all 3 of those movies, in my opinion. So giving her that award was pretty easy. I should have thought more voice performance. Now that you say that, I'm like, maybe that would have been the way to go. But I have no shame giving Zoe Saldana an award. She's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, why would you feel any shame giving Zoe Saldana any award? She's fantastic. Sorry, Academy Award winner, Zoe Saldana. So from the best hybrid, we're now moving to another category which had its debut last year in the BAMPies, and that is best cast. So the best ensemble for the year. We're going to give our top 3, and John, I need to know, what are yours?
So this gives a lot of opportunity to talk about movies that maybe wouldn't make our list otherwise because they have a big cast. So I went with Thunderbolts because I really like Thunderbolts. I think that was an undersung Marvel movie from last year. And the cast is the reason. The cast is phenomenal all the way across the board. I went with The Phoenician Scheme, the Wes Anderson movie that I loved and was quoted as saying a triumph on some of the marketing materials. But I think an undersung Anderson film I loved, and it's because of, again, a really awesome cast. There's so many people in that movie. And the movie that I think nailed casting and has done so 3 times in a row, as this is the 3rd entry in this franchise, Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out story.
Oh,
Because holy cow, the cast is phenomenal. There's so many great performances. Obviously, we're there for Daniel Craig as Benoit Blanc for sure. At this point, he's my favorite detective of all time. Get out of the way, Sherlock. But
yeah.
I love the Knives Out movies, and I have not been disappointed. I'm not sure. I need to rewatch Glass Onion and Wake Up Dead Man. So I've only seen those both
Yep.
once, but I've seen Knives Out several times. I love the first one so much, and I think both of the other ones are great. I do think Wake Up Dead Man is probably going to be my number 2. It might be my number 1 though, because there's so much going on in that one, and there's so many good performances in it. Absolutely love Wake Up Dead Man. That's my cast. What about you, Matt?
That's a hell of a trio right there. For number 3, my runner-up is, it may raise an eyebrow too, but it's a film which I liked, but I wanted to love, because I loved the first one, Wicked for Good. I don't think the lead performances and some of the other ones are the problem in that film. I just think it's a mess outside of that. My first runner-up, it's Wake Up Dead Man.
Oh.
I loved it, but for me, the best cast of the year had to go to Sinners. I thought that was absolutely outstanding. The cast, obviously, you've got Michael B. Jordan pulling double duty, but Haley Steinfeld, Delroy Lindo, everybody involved, Jack O'Connell, everyone involved in that as well. And it's just, when I was watching it, it's one of those films where not only are you again sucked in by the cinematography and the score, but everybody brings their A game. Everybody gets it, and I think most of that's probably down to the direction of Ryan Coogler, of course. But when you get so many good people on a set and say, "Here's a great script, do your thing," and everyone is bouncing off of each other in the way that they are in Sinners, there was not one person in that cast who was a weak link at all. So since I saw the film, I knew that I was like, this is a great ensemble. Someone's going to have to beat this, and Wake Up Dead Man nearly did. And there's a few others that could have got into the top 3, but Sinners is taking it for me.
Easy, great pick. Easily could have been in my 3. It was hard to leave it off the 3, but the next category is, I think, I don't remember when we implemented this, but I think I really love this award, and this is collective performance, right? This actor or actress showed up in multiple films throughout the year, and even if maybe individual movies didn't make your best performance, they collectively added up to be the top. So Matt, what are your top 3 collective performances from 2025? And it requires at
So
least 2 movies, I think, is our
yes,
minimum criteria.
yes. So this is one of the ones where I was looking at thinking, oh man, I'm kind of struggling a little bit here, because I was also attributing some of the success of the films as well. Because there's one person who did like 4 films who I won't mention just yet, but I'm like, I don't know if you stood out in all of them, to be honest. So my number 3 runner-up, my number 2 runner-up, whatever you want to call it, I'm very pleased to put Mark Hamill in for The Long Walk and Good Luck, Chuck. Good Luck, Chuck?
Yeah,
Yes.
Life of Chuck. Good
Life
Luck
of
Chuck
Chuck.
is a bad movie with Dane Cook, I think.
You are so spot on there. I've got it written down there, and it didn't look right, but yeah, Mark Hamill for Life of Chuck, and The Long Walk. My first runner-up is Alana Haim for One Battle After Another and The Mastermind. I think she's very good in both of
Yeah.
those, which I have now seen. And number one, for whom I think has had the best year. I've only seen 3 of the 4 films, but I think this person is superb in all 3 of them. Josh O'Connor, who was in The Mastermind. He was in History of Sound, which I haven't seen. He was so good in Wake Up Dead Man and also in Rebuilding as well. I think Josh O'Connor absolutely came to the fore this year, and I was so pleased to see him leading Knives Out, Wake Up Dead Man. Ryan Johnson giving him that chance and acting against such great actors, Josh Brolin, Glenn Close and the like, and obviously Daniel Craig, and being the best of the best bunch that there is other than Sinners for me, of course. So, yeah, Josh O'Connor for me absolutely stole the year with his performances, and also the films that I've seen were really good as well. So they are my 3, John.
Well, my 3, Josh Brolin at runner-up because of Weapons and Wake Up Dead Man, as you mentioned, and I'm a big Josh Brolin fan, anyways. But like those 2 performances are and Running Man. Don't forget he's also the bad guy in Running Man.
I did.
And I for half a second forgot. I was like, wait, no, he's in more than 2. He's in 3. My number 2 is an unsung actress who I think we need to give more leading roles. Katie O'Brien, who shows up in Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. She shows up in Running Man, and then shows up in Christie, which is, I think, she's the best part of Christie,
She's the
hands
best
down, in
part
my
of
opinion.
most films. I know that sounds so trite to say, but every time I see her, she's so damn good, and she needs more proper meaty roles like Love Lies
I mean,
Bleeding.
yeah, she's phenomenal. She's got such screen presence and just such an interesting, like, just on screen, you're just like, wow, I want to know more about that character, whoever she is, and I'd love to see her get more work. And then my my number 1, I don't know if anyone's heard of this guy, but he's in 3 of 4 movies, one of which I haven't seen. Josh O'Connor. I also haven't seen History of Sound that Matt and I both missed.
You watch
I
Happy
honestly
Awful
didn't.
now.
I didn't know what movie that was, to be fair. And now that I'm like, oh, I should have definitely watched that movie. I haven't seen it, but I think not only do I think he gives the best collective performance of last year, but he's become one of my favorite actors working. The dude's range is insane. That he can do the comedy that's asked of him in Wake Up Dead Man, but also have true pathos in that film. But then you watch Rebuilding, and the quiet, subtle performance he gives in that movie is so substantially different. And then the awkward, nervous energy that he has in Mastermind, where he's like, I am a genius, but also, uh-oh. And like, there's this weird kind of tension where you're just like, I don't know if I can trust this guy. And that's not even getting into Challengers from last year. But I am, this guy for me has kind of come out of nowhere. I think he is just easily one of the best. I will go see whatever he's in, which might be foreshadowing my excited movies for 2026. I'm all in on Josh O'Connor. Like, if I could buy stocks, he would be the actor right now. I'm like, give me all you got.
Yeah.
I'm in. So, all right.
That is,
So
I always look and think who's doing the next one. It's
yeah,
me
me too.
doing
I'm
the
like,
next
oh.
one. So every single one of those performances or contributions to any of those films are top dollar. But now I guess we get into what most consider to be kind of the most exciting categories. If you're watching the awards shows, so many people will tune in for the actors, the actresses, the best directors and the best pictures and all of that good stuff. And we are no different. We're very excited to talk about these final few categories now. And the first one we're going to be rolling with is Best Supporting Actress. Now, in recent years, I think you and I have both found this to be the toughest one. I know last year we definitely did. I'm pretty sure the year before it was stacked. So I'm looking forward to hearing your 3 choices for this year, sir.
You know what? I'm sitting here now about to give it. I'm like, man, I could rotate like 7 of these in and out. And I've been rotating the actors the most, like all actors, actresses. It has been really hard to narrow down. And I still don't feel confident with any of my acting choices because I'm like, everyone I picked, I think is worthy, but I'm leaving off other people that I think are worthy. And it is hurting me inside. So that said, I'm going to go with what I have on this list, and it could change literally as I'm making it, but I'm going to stick with it. Odessa Azion from Until Dawn. No, from Marty Supreme. She is in both of those movies, but from
Genuinely got me there for a minute.
I'm going to butcher her name. Inga Ibsdottir Lilias from sentimental value. And my dog is scratching at my door. He desperately wants in. And then my winner for best supporting actress is Amy Madigan for Weapons. I'm supposed to talk about that now. Sorry, my dog has distracted me so badly. So Amy Madigan, I rewatched Weapons recently because I wanted to make sure that I'm like locking this in, and it's not just that memory performance that I'm like, well, that's why. Weapons is a film that I absolutely adored. I was so enamored by it when we first saw it, and I wasn't sure if a rewatch would hold up or if it would feel like it really drags because I know where it's going. You know, like if it wouldn't have the same impact. It had the same impact. I was still floored. If anything, I thought it was better the second time because I was kind of watching for all the things that I knew were going to happen, and I just was enamored by it. And Amy Madigan is absolutely phenomenal as the kick. I don't even know. I can't think of her name right now because the dog is
Gladys.
scratching at the door. Gladys, of course, of course. And I don't want to spoil the movie, so I'm not going to say much else about it, but she's just absolutely phenomenal as Gladys. Such a performance, such a powerhouse when she gets to be on screen, and it's such a clear supporting performance. There's no category fraud here. She's supporting the overall story in such an impactful way. It was easy to make her my number one. Again, though, there are several actresses who are not on my list that I'm like, I really want to put this person, this person, this person, this person, but maybe Matt's going to represent them, maybe not. What do you got?
Well, I'm sorry to say that for my first runner-up or second runner-up, I'm picking Odessa Zion. So the same person that you also picked, JB. My first runner-up is going to be Teyana Taylor from One Battle After Another. I thought she was an absolute powerhouse in this film, but not enough to win the day for me because my best supporting actress of the year was also Amy Madigan as well. It kind of had to be. I thought the way she switched between genuine benevolence, genuine kindness to being so damn sinister, it was excellent. Like her switch ups between in scenes and within scenes is fantastic. She's so compelling to watch. There's a real nuance to what she does in a film which is actually really good as well. If you haven't seen Zach Cregger's Weapons, absolutely check it out. Obviously, if you don't like horror, then, well, maybe don't. But I would always champion horror for anyone because some of the best performances in recent years have been in horror films. Don't believe what the Oscars would always tell you. Mia Goth didn't get nominated for Pearl when she ripped that 8-minute monologue. Tell you, we all know Toni Collette in Hereditary and so on and so forth. But yeah, Amy Madigan was the best supporting actress for me, and it was close. I was about to say it wasn't even close. It was Teyana Taylor in One Battle After Another. I think is fantastic. As I mentioned, I also picked Odessa Zion as my second runner-up as well, so I thought she was great. But yeah, Amy Madigan, the standout performance that I remember by the end of the year in this category was from her. So that's my best supporting actress, John.
And we move on from actress to best supporting actor, which is like the rest of the awards are pretty much straightforward compared. We don't have to explain what the categories are. So Matt, what are your best 3 supporting actors?
So my best 3 supporting actors in number 3, second runner up is Paul Mescal for Hamnet. I think he's a very, very good actor, and I think he's really very good in that. My first runner up is one of the most dependable, one of the best actors working today, Delroy Lindo from Sinners. I think he's excellent in that film, and I really wanted him to win this award. But I had to give the award, to Stellan Skarsgård in Sentimental Value because he's just excellent in that role. Obviously, it's an emotional film. There's a lot happening with his kind of hard-edged character and what he's having to make his family sacrifice and the bond he's trying to rekindle with his kids. There's a lot of emotion to have there, like, 'cause there's a tragic comedy, so not all of it is going to hit with everybody in the way that we expect from a comedy or a film with the word comedy in. But I just think his performance is so powerful, and Stellan Skarsgård's been in the game for a long, long, long time, and at this stage of his career, I'm so pleased to see that he's able to, and with the health issues he's had very recently, that he's able to pull off such a monumentally good performance. Listen, Father Merrin himself has pulled off this fantastic performance. Obviously, he was in the prequels of The Exorcist, and he was so good in Andor as well this year. So yeah, Stellan Skarsgård wins it for me. But what about yourself, sir?
So my first runner-up, Michael Cera from The Phoenician Scheme.
Ooh.
How has he never worked with Wes Anderson before? It feels like a match made in heaven, and it was for me. I thought he was phenomenal. Some of my biggest laughs of the year are from him with little jokes, and also I think he's kind of playing a dual role without spoiling how or what. And when that happens, I just think he's phenomenal in it, and I think I don't think The Phoenician Scheme is getting talked about enough, to be honest. Then in a supporting role, I'm going Benicio del Toro in One Battle After Another for my second runner-up. He is. I think Benicio's could have easily have been in my best collective performance role award this year too, because he's in this and Phoenician Scheme. I think he's phenomenal. But my my winner for best supporting actor is Delroy Lindo from Sinners. I've been a huge Delroy Lindo fan for a long time. He's worked with Spike Lee for so many years, and I've seen him in tons of movies from him. I just think he's always great. He brings such gravitas to the films, and his role in Sinners is phenomenal. He also gets some of my favorite lines in the movie. He cracks me up a few times, but also there's some emotion there, something that Sinners does not shy away from. And I think he brings all of those pieces perfectly into the film, and he fits in why easily makes sense that Sinners was your ensemble for cast, because there are so many great people. But I'm kind of isolating some out here. Delroy being one of those that just worked for me.
Yeah, Delroy Lindo is so damn good in everything he's in, even if the film isn't. He's one of those actors who just brings it every time. And like I said, I really wanted him to be number one for me. But then when I saw Stellan Skarsgård, I was like, this is a fantastic
Mhm.
performance. But then it's paper thin between the two of them. So they are the supporting roles then for actress and actor. John, let's move now into best actress of 2025. Again, it goes without saying, another category that is usually stacked. So what have you got this year?
Dude,
John just rolled
this
his
one,
eyes. He knows this is tough.
it's it's so tough. And I didn't even get to see the Rose Byrne movie, as I mentioned earlier. So like I don't even like she could be on this list on top of the already
Right?
struggle that I've had to pick the ones to mention. To be fair, my winner has been locked pretty much since I saw the movie. So
Okay.
my first runner up is Eva Victor in Sorry Baby. Mostly because I didn't know who Eva Victor was until I saw
Yeah.
Sorry Baby, and I'm willing to bet a lot of people didn't. And I wanted to give that movie a shout out here. It's really great, and I think she is great in it. She gives such a quiet performance. There's a scene in a grocery store with a cat that I absolutely love. I actually was telling my wife about it yesterday. Um, my second runner up is, I'm going to mispronounce her name again, Renee Rensiv Rensvi from Sentimental Value. Boy, I'm so off that
You can run with that.
Matt Matt's not even sure what she's in. Worst Person in the World, and she's great in that,
Yes.
and she's in the one movie with Sebastian Stan that I liked a lot from last year that I don't remember the name of right now, but she's great in Sentimental Value. Can't say her name right. It's Renat. It's Renat. Rensiv. I'm still wrong. But my number one, fortunately, I can say quite well, and I've said it many times because I think she's one of the best working actresses in the world. Jessie Buckley for Hamnet. Um,
Wow.
I will say, with a little bit of bias, I went into this movie going, it's her award to lose. If she doesn't blow me away with her performance in this film, but I went in thinking she was going to be my favorite, and she exceeded that easily. I'm so hopeful that she wins the Oscar because I think she's deserved an Oscar for a while. I have been utterly impressed with pretty much every role she's taken. I think she always brings something magical to the performances. I'm so excited to see her in The Bride. I hope that lives up to my hype. Um, but in Hamnet, man, there's so many scenes with emotion, but the end sequence when they're at the Globe Theater, which is a long sequence, it's a big chunk of the end of the movie.
Yeah.
She does so much in those scenes that just absolutely hit me. Unbelievable. And she's not the only one. There's a lot happening in those sequences. I think Hamnet could have easily been argued for cast because there's some really great temporary performances. People come in and out, but your lead performances, I think Buckley is just phenomenal in that role. And it's kind of a lame pick because a lot of people are going to pick that, but I've been cheering for Buckley for a long time, and I'm excited that it looks like she might finally get her rewards for all the work she's done. So That's my pick. What about you, sir?
That is a very good shout. My second runner-up is I don't know if said actress is getting any love in the awards, but I thought the film was pretty good, as is the case with most of this director's films. But Emma Stone in Begonia, I really enjoyed her performance. It's hard not to
Yeah,
like Emma Stone's body of
agreed.
work since becoming a double Oscar winner. She's just, I'll do what I want, and I'm going to work with people like Lanthimos,
And
which
she's
is
always great,
cool.
and easily could have been my winner for this year too. But like you said, she's won 2 Oscars. I think we all acknowledge she's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and
Not to
that's the
take away
thing
from
is,
yours. I'm just saying.
no, of course. That's the thing is, I put her in, and I also, and that's when you think it's like, do I? But it's personal choice. So I had to put her in. Runner up number one is Chase Infinity from One Battle After Another. A sensational performance from an actor who I wasn't wasn't really on my radar, but holy moly, she certainly is now. And my winner, this came late in the day, the 11th hour, but once I saw it, I knew it had to be Jessie Buckley in Hamnet. And again, it's another clean sweep, and everything you've said is probably far better than I'll ever say. But she is so raw with her performance that they never make what she's going through, and they try and romanticize. Oh, look how painstaking she's finding this, and the grief and trauma she's going through. Let's shine a romantic light in it. No, it's a real, very raw, and the physical performance she gives is sensational. But Jessie Buckley is so goddamn good in most everything she's in. And like you said, with her and other people, when I see her name on the cast list, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a good film because she's in it. Or at worst, she's going to be very good in it.
In it.
But yeah, it's a very raw, very earnest, very physical performance, whilst at the same time, it's very, when I say restrained, I mean, it's not the most showiest of performances, but it needed to be that because of what the character is going through. And Jessie Buckley absolutely nails it. And I don't want to jinx anybody, but if Jessie Buckley does not win the secondary award, the Oscar this year, I don't know who wins above her. I mean, the
Mhm.
choices we have made there could easily be and will be in the running, I'm sure. But it has to be Jessie Buckley's this year. It has to be. So yeah, a clean sweep again, and it's time for Jessie Buckley.
That leads us to our best actor of the year. This is obviously the counterpart to the best actress. Matt, who are your three?
I went back and forward on this one an awful lot with the top two. So my second runner-up is Leonardo DiCaprio in One Battle After Another. I think it's just another very good performance. I didn't put him in my list last year for the Scorsese film because I thought there was other people who were better than him, but I did think he was really good in One Battle After Another. Now these two, I've gone back and forward on these up until probably about an hour before recording. And even now, I don't know if I've made the right choice, but I'm sticking with it. So my first runner-up, my second place is Michael B. Jordan in Sinners, playing that double role. He is sensational in that, and again in the roles he has to do, and in facing off against himself as well. Which meant that my winner for best actor was Timothy Chalamet in Marty Supreme, because Chalamet, you could argue he's still. I say he's not young. It's not like he's 19 anymore, but the roles he's taken is showing his versatility and his range. But he's always so good. And in Marty Supreme, he plays I won't swear, such an idiot, and he's so believable that you want to punch him when you watch this film, old Mauser himself. But I think he is fantastic at everything he's asked to do in this film. And as much as you don't root for the character, or at least you're not supposed to anyway, you can't almost help but it's Timothy Chalamet. He brings so much to it, and I've loved so much that he's done in recent years, from Dune to Bones and All to the one he did with Steve Carell, which Beautiful Boy, which I didn't think is the greatest film, but I thought he was really good in it. And now things
Mhm.
like this, he's really showing his worth. I know he's gunning for an Oscar. He said it himself, but I actually quite respect the fact that he said, "I want to
Me
be the
too.
best. This is my profession. I want to be the best in it. Why wouldn't I?" I think this series showed that he is the best. But then Michael B. Jordan with that double role, ooh, it was close. But Chalamet wins out for me, John. Who have you got in yours?
So I'm going to say something before I say my three, and one is I left Leo off because I similar to what I just said about Emma
It's
Stone is like
Leo.
one, yeah, he's incredible. I don't know that there's a performance from Leo that I don't think is even like, yeah, I'm sure he's got some performances like, yeah, but 90% of what he does is just great, and
Yeah.
he is great in one battle after another. But I didn't put him on my list. And a little spoiler: I've been a Chalamet fan for a while, and Chalamet. There's a movie called Miss Stevens that I don't think nearly anyone has seen. He does. He's playing an actor in the movie, and he does a monologue from uh, a Tennessee Williams, salesman, Death of a Salesman, and the monologue is phenomenal. Like his performance is so good. I've used it as a clip. I think he is arguably he's definitely the best actor of his age without
Yes.
question. But he might end up becoming one of those actors that we go as the best actor of all time. And it's because he is so dedicated and committed to the craft and clear passion for it. But he's not on my list despite all of what I just said.
So
And it's not because
that's
I don't think
floored me. Yeah.
and it's not that I don't think the performance is great, but I think everyone's going to be talking about it. And
Yes.
I was also torn like you were. So I left him off in lieu to talk about two runner-ups that I don't think enough people are talking about their performances, and one is maybe a little bit of a push to say it, but he won Best Actor a couple of years ago, and a lot of people hate the movie he won it for. So Brendan Fraser for Rental Family is on my list here because I think he's great, and I didn't think he was great. I gave him a lot of crap last year for Killers of a Flower Moon because I thought his performance was
That's
not
the
good.
one. Oh no, he wasn't
I
great.
the thing I love about him in this movie is there's a subtlety, and when I was thinking about his performance throughout the history of Brendan Fraser films, which I've seen a lot, he's really good at giving you emotion through his eyes. There's so much pathos in Brendan Fraser's eyes, and so that's why he's on this list. And it's also the same reason why I have Joel Edgerton from Train Dreams on this list because that guy does great eye work. Just like Fraser, like they give you so much with nothing. Like there's this intensity to Edgerton, like he's scary, but his eyes say he's not. And that works so perfectly in Train Dreams. And it's this quiet performance. And I wanted to mention both of them because I think those performances often get undersung because they aren't in your face. They aren't ambitious. They're almost the exact opposite. They're like, hey, don't mind me. I'm just here. But it gives so much to the movie. But my best actor, Matt, you'll be happy, is Michael B. Jordan for his dual role in Sinners because the dude's two different characters. They are distinctively different characters. And while that probably owes a lot to Coogler and his script, um, Michael B. Jordan's and Coogler's collaborations going back to Fruitvale Station are what make both of them, I think, so incredible and why every time their name is attached to something, I am excited. Now, to be fair, Coogler, the only thing I don't like of his, and I don't like is strong, but is Wakanda Forever. And that's not the movie he wanted to make
Right. Yeah.
for obvious reasons. Bozeman, dying put every idea he had to rest for that minute. And I don't think it's a bad movie. It's just not when you look at the rest of his very small filmography, it's the clear standout of like this is the one that's not like the others, but it's also the one that doesn't have Michael B. Jordan in it much because of what happens in Black Panther. But Coogler and Jordan together have been phenomenal, but Jordan really gets to shine here. Um, he has so much charisma and charm. You could argue maybe his acting isn't like it's not Chalamet level of like changing. He's often playing a very similar kind of
Mm.
angry in it's inside a lot of internal conflict going on, but that really works here. And when those two moments with the brothers kind of clash later in the film, when stuff starts to go awry, man, does it work. And he just sells it so well. And I gotta say, not everyone can pull off like a dramatic moment to action moment, but man, there's a scene towards the end where he gets to be the action guy and he nails it. Like he is so believable in the action. You're just like, yeah. This guy's got all of it. And I love that about this movie, that it has all those elements, that it has the drama, it has the intimate love, it has the conflict, it has the fun, it has the kind of party guy, it has this angry, bitter criminal, and then it has the revenge and the grief. It's just he's everywhere in this movie, and he nails all of that. And so I have no problem putting him number one. Again, big shout out to Leo and to Chalamet. I think they're both phenomenal in both of their movies. And I think both of those movies are also Marty less so, but I love One Battle tons. But for me, man, since I saw Sinners, I've just been like, this movie just it was everything. I was so worried it wouldn't be incredible, and it was even more incredible than I thought it would be. So Michael B. Jordan's my winner.
I'm so pleased that Michael B. Jordan picked up one of those awards. He's one of those annoying guys who's like effortlessly talented, stupidly handsome, and just fantastic at everything he does. It's like, man, it's like John, but in Hollywood, I
Oh
guess.
well,
But,
yeah.
yeah, obviously.
Thanks.
So let's move on then to our penultimate award of the night. And as they all are throughout the night, it's a big one. But this one could legitimately be seen as a big one because it's one that a lot of people have eyes on. And it is Best Director. Who impressed the most with their direction of their film this year? So, John, take us away with your three.
My runner-up, one is Park Chan-wook. As I mentioned, for no other choice, I'm just a big fan of what he does and what he brings to cinema. He makes movies that are truly cinematic, and not having him on this list would feel wrong. The big question of two and one, right? Well, Paul Thomas Anderson is going to be my runner-up. I know it's gonna hurt so many people. Paul Thomas just not getting all the awards. I love him. I'm a big fan. I don't remember if I gave him the award for Licorice Pizza or not, which I would be controversial because a lot of people didn't like Licorice Pizza, but I did. And but my number one, as I said from the get go, if I gave Michael B. Jordan the best actor, I got to give Coogler the best director because he blew me away. I I've already admitted to bias of Coogler. I kind of latched on to Coogler early. Creed was a big surprise for me because and I wasn't even that big of a Rocky fan. I was just really starting to get into the Rocky movies when Creed was coming out, and I was kind of like, man, this stupid Hollywood trend of like Lego sequels and these reboots, like what good could Creed be? And Creed is phenomenal. Like it truly, truly is. And so much of that is with Coogler, and every time I listen as a person who loves movies, Coogler is one of those people who is doing everything he can for this art, and I'm a fan, and I am unabashedly biased towards him. I'm going to root for him every chance as long as he keeps doing what he's been doing, I will continue to try to sing his praises, and this is that opportunity. Ryan Coogler, best director in my opinion, 2025.
What the hell of a choice that is. Okay, well, I'm going to also apologise to the world and their nan because PTA is my second runner-up. Excellently directed film this year, but Paul Thomas Anderson doesn't quite take the number one spot. This was tough. Like again, similar to what you said, numbers 2 and numbers 1 were tough because these are interchangeable for me, and they are very different in their styles, but also at the same. For me, they share a lot of similarities, especially in composition and also pacing and rhythm of the films. But my first runner up is Sir Ryan Coogler for Sinners, who delivered an exceptional directorial job for the reasons you've just said. But when I watched Hamlet and saw what Chloe Zhao did, I thought she directed the living hell out of that. Now, it helps when you've got such fantastic actors and a fantastic screenplay to work with, but the way that Zhao paces this film, the way that she uses the world around her, nature, the natural world, to help tell her story, she makes it feel so grounded, so immersive in the time period it is, but it's still very accessible at the same time. I mentioned restraint for Jessie Buckley, but the restraint that she shows emotionally and also within her directing and her flourishes and her camera work alongside the DOP are superb. And she also trusts her actors. I've always said, and I think I've already said it on this episode, you give the good actors space to do their job and you almost guaranteed a very decent performance. And she trusts her actors here more so than just giving them additional words to say. She lets their performances tell the story, and she captures those performances in such a way where words aren't necessary. And the emotion and the meditative nature that she ekes out of the scenes is just brilliantly done. So it is, again, given what the film is about, and it's a very heavy film as well, I just think it's a very, very confident, very emotionally confident bit of directing. So Coogler had it until about a week ago, and then Chloe Zhao took it. So it's not recency bias. It's just it just hit me in that way. So Chloe Zhao for Hamnet was my best director.
Very cool. Her second win, I guess you could argue. Not for us necessarily, but she won the Oscar and now a BAMPie. I don't remember if she won. I don't think we. This is the sixth annual, so we would have done 2020.
Did she do?
So I don't
I
remember
think
if
she
she
won
won.
for Nomadland. I'm pretty sure she might
She
have
might
done.
have.
Yeah, I think she did.
Um,
Not for the Eternals.
so we're now at. Am I doing this right? Yes, I am. We're now at Best Picture. We're gonna do this slightly differently than we do the other awards. We go. We both give our 5. We both give our 4. We both give our 3. We give our 2, and then we give our 1. Um, I'm wondering how much overlap will be in our top 5. It's interesting. Um, and this was there's some things about this that I decidedly like. These are my favorite films, which translates to my what I think are the best. But I also acknowledge that not everyone will agree with some of my picks. So, Matt, what is your number 5 best movie of 2025?
Ooh, I'm looking forward to. So, like you say, these are our specific picks. They may differ from everybody else's, and in recent years, they really have at times. But my number 5 best film of the year, surprisingly, is one that I have not mentioned at all yet, and mainly because it probably landed at number 4 on a lot of the categories that it could have done. But you have mentioned this film. It's heavy. It's another meditative film, but my word is Train Dreams. A very, very, very emotionally layered, fantastically nuanced film. I thought it was really very, very good. Joel Edgerton is really good. Like you say, it's all in the eyes. It's very understated in what he's having to do. It's a very reflective piece of cinema, and if you haven't seen it, it's not an easy watch, but that doesn't mean it shouldn't be watched. So Train Dreams, well, I was going to make a train pun, but I won't. It came crashing in at number 5 for me. What about you, John?
My number 5, you mentioned, and I haven't. The Penguin Lessons. It's been in my top 5 since the beginning of the year. Not, I mean, I saw this really early in the year. I don't remember what exactly, but um, I do. I have a lot of movies that I could have put into the top 5. This was one that I wanted to make sure people hear about, but also it's really personal for me. It really clicked for me in that way. There was a lot of things about it. One of the elements of the film, which I don't want to get too much into, but it is. There's a character watching horrific things take place, and he is afraid to take action. And in today's world, where people are being murdered by the people who are supposed to be representative of good and justice and law, um, it's hard to not acknowledge something like that and how history has a tendency to repeat itself. And that movie resonated with me for that reason. And even saying that just now feels like a lot. It feels scary to say because it is taking a stance. But we're living in a time where not taking a stance is way more serious of an offense. And the Penguin Lessons made me feel both of those things. It made me like say, I feel seen. I'm afraid. I don't want backlash, but I can't also just watch horrific things happen and say nothing. So it's a film that I think is resonant for a lot of reasons. There's happiness. There's a penguin. Um, but then there's also the real serious side of things, but the things that we can learn and how sometimes things that feel so random and silly, like getting a pet penguin, can really alter the direction of our life. And the movie's spoken to me since I saw it. I haven't forgotten it. It's the only movie on my top 5 that I've only seen once, but I still remember it so vividly. I don't know that I need to see it a second time. Although that's not why I haven't. I just haven't. But that's my number 5.
That's so good to see that in your top 5. That's one win, and it's in the top 5 as well. So Penguin Lessons, absolutely. Please, everyone, check that out. Moving on to number 4, then my 4th best film of the year, or 4th favorite, or however you want to label this, is a film that I have mentioned quite recently, and that is Hamnet. I thought this film was excellent for all the reasons I've already said: thoughtful, sensitive, emotional, intimate, powerful, excellently directed, great performances. The production design was great. The costumes are great. It's a heavy watch, but maybe John and myself just love that punishment because quite a few of our films have got some kind of inherent sadness in it somewhere. But yeah, Hamlet crashed in at number 4 for me, John, and I thought it fully deserves to be there despite it being a more recent watch for me.
That it was in and out of my 5. So was Chloe Zhao in my directing list. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Um, my number 4, we've also mentioned a few times, but it's one that I think is going to maybe not get the best picture nomination that I think it deserves, and that's Weapons.
Oh,
Zach Kreger's Weapons is my number 4. I'm one when I found out the like kind of the motivation for Kreger to write Weapons, that it was kind of him processing grief. It's a weird theme that we're seeing through a lot of the films this year. Weapons maybe being the most fun exploration of grief because it is a horror film and there is a lot of crazy stuff that happens, and it makes it maybe feel less heavy than something like Hamnet or like Train Dreams. Um, but nevertheless, it's there, and if you know that and you watch it, it takes on a different level of it. And there is, we get several different character perspectives. That's how the story is structured. And Alex, the kid, his story, I think, really hits home the grief and the helplessness, and how it, you desperately want to ask for help, but also feel like there's no point. There's nothing that anyone can do to possibly get you out of what you're going through. And that's the beauty of horror, is it can make things that are really tough to deal with much more digestible and much more fun and invigorating. And I think Kreger nailed Weapons, and I hope he continues. I've been a fan of his work so far. Barbarian, I also was blown away by a couple of years ago. Um, I hear we're getting a Criterion, I think, of Barbarian too, so
oh.
we are going to get physical media of that. Um, I already have my 4K for Weapons, so that one's on the shelf. But that's my number 4.
Everyone should celebrate horror more. It's not just blood and guts. My number 3, John, is, guess what? It's another film which put me through the ringer. It's another film that we've also mentioned. Sorry, Baby was my third best film of the year. And it is another film, like you mentioned earlier, it does deal with trauma, it does deal with grief. But the film itself is more, it deals with, what happens after that. So you have this moment, but what is the aftermath? How do we deal with this? How do we move on? And it's all about the resilience of the people involved and how they heal, and the way it's dealt with so empathetically, so compassionately, but it doesn't shy away from the pain when it's necessary. And there's good humor as well, and they do actually strike a really good balance. This Eva Victor, sorry, who wrote, directed, and starred in this, and I know you've already mentioned her, but she does strike a good balance between that pain and humor, and it was just such an affecting story. I thought the subject matter is heavy, and it's one which I think is quite complex to try and deal with in such a way. But I really do think that Victor does that really well to deliver not just a, like I say, empathetic but powerful, painful film, but make one that is so watchable as well. Sometimes you watch a film which could be quite traumatic, and you think, I don't know if I can get through another hour of this. But Sorry Baby is that, but you want to get through it because of how they deal with the aftermath, and you want to see what happens to these people. And the delivery of all aspects of the film is such that I couldn't look away. I just thought it was an excellent bit of filmmaking. And Eva Victor to write, direct, and star in this, that is a star making turn right there. So Sorry Baby is my number 3. What takes bronze for you, good sir?
Before I say, I do want to give a shout out. Julia Roberts called Eva Victor out at the Golden Globes during she was presenting an award, and she like Eva Victor, you're my hero, and it cuts to Eva, and she just like kind of starts breaking down because Julia Roberts just like gave her that kind of
So
praise.
cool.
It's such an awesome moment. Wanted to give note to that. But my number 3, um, and again, no offense, because like you could move a lot of these around, but One Battle After Another is my number 3 movie of the year. I'm a big Paul Thomas Anderson fan. I think I bumped Licorice Pizza to 2 a few years ago and had
You
Coda
did.
at my number 1, which a lot of people would be mad at too, because a lot of people hate Coda. I still think Coda. It's about,
Co's
there's
great.
a teacher and music, and it's like inspiration. I'm a teacher, guys. It's gonna always click for me. Penguin lessons, but One Battle After Another, I mean, it's phenomenal. It's one of my favorite moments I've ever had of somebody who knows that I'm obsessive over movies, having seen it, coming to me so excited to tell me how much they loved it, and they wanted to like, "Do you also love it?" And I was like, "I do," and I'm so excited that you went to see it. I'm so glad that it clicked for you like that, because Paul Thomas Anderson's movies are not for everyone, and not just like Licorice Pizza, but they they're often long, and they have complex elements in story, and when they click for people, though, they click. And One Battle seems to really have clicked for a lot of people. I wish more people went and saw it so that it had a little more money, but that's not the be all end all of a great film. There's no question this film is a absolute banger. It deserves any praise it gets. It easily could be number one, and with in another year it would have been. And I feel bad that I keep kind of pushing Paul Thomas Anderson movies to the side. It's what happened to him with There Will Be Blood, and he didn't get the award to the Coens instead because, again, No Country for Old Men also incredible. Like those are two
Yeah.
awesome movies that happen to come out at the same time, and I don't think he's going to lose this year, but it would be incredible if some of the other movies that are we're talking about maybe got a nod at the Oscars instead. But if this ends up winning, I'm great for it. I think it's incredible.
Yeah, fantastic shout, because it's my number two of the year, one battle after another. And actually, it's funny, as we've spoken about before, and sometimes we're guilty of this. When one battle after another came out, everyone was talking about it, and everybody was saying, "Holy moly, this is a hell of a film." And then weeks and months pass, and suddenly the film takes a heel turn. Suddenly, people are saying, "Well, it shouldn't. I don't want to see this win. If this wins, it will be such a bore fest. It's the obvious choice, and it's not really that good." One battle and after another really is that good. It's it's yes, it's all subjective, but it really is a very very good film, and how PTA blends the satire, the very sharp political satire. Again, let's look at the world around us with action, real good action, with the family dynamic, with the drama, with the characters, with the character drama, is and makes it so emotionally watchable as well. Just fantastic. And like we mentioned with the performances from Leo, from Chase Infinity, from the fantastic Teyana Taylor, who I believe won the Critics' Choice Award or Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actress. It's just filled with quality in every single frame. And then that includes the very, very underseen, below the line workers. So that everyone who worked on production, costume, makeup, this film is superb. And it wasn't enough to shift the number one film for me, but my God, is one battle after another a fantastic film. So number three for you, number two for me. What's your runner up for the year, sir?
So this one is a personal choice, and I know it's not going to work for a lot of people, but Life of Chuck is without
Huh.
question my number two film of the year. I rewatched this one recently to ensure that it was still here for me and it wasn't just that initial gut punch for me, and it's not. This movie, even talking about it now, I want to start crying. I This movie clicked again for so many different reasons. I think the scene that makes or breaks the film for you is the dance number in the middle of the street with the drumming, and if you're watching it and you hate it, don't you can stop the movie. I don't think you're gonna click with where it's going from there. If you watch it and it resonates and you're into it, you're vibing with the weirdness that is Life of Chuck, it's there. And there Matthew Lillard gives an incredible monologue in this movie that I think is going to go underseen and undersung because it is a supporting performance. He's barely in the movie, but man, if you were listening to Quentin Tarantino diss Matthew Lillard and you're like, what, he's a good actor, isn't he?
What an
Watch the
idiot.
scene from Life of Chuck and you will know right away that Tarantino's way off base with that comment. I There's so much about this movie. I'm all on board with Mike Flanagan. I think he is maybe one of the most undersung directors because he is now almost exclusively painting with the Stephen King brush, but no one's been able to do what he's doing with the King brush. And people who love it, I'm a big fan of it. Chapter one, I like Welcome to Derry, but I don't think that has anything on what Flanagan's done with the King properties. I think everything Flanagan's done with the King properties elevates King, and what he was able to do with Doctor Sleep. I mean, are we kidding? Like
Dude.
the dude's tapped into King in a way. But the thing about Life of Chuck that is so different than most of the other King things is it's not horror. And Flanagan's son gives maybe one of the best young performances in the industry this year. He's phenomenal in the role. And from what I understand is Flanagan wanted to make this movie for his kids. He wanted to give something like positive, something that's about hope and optimism. And the phrase, oh man, the phrase "I contain multitudes" has been my mantra since I saw this movie. If you don't know what it means, it's not from this movie. It is, but it's they're quoting a piece of literature, a poem from outside that's referenced, but it was something I needed this year. And man, this movie just it's everything to me. I love this. I bought it immediately. I have it digital. I have it on 4K. It's a I was afraid to rewatch it. I was afraid it wasn't going to hit the same, and it did. So I was so grateful that it did hit the same, especially because I've heard a lot of people who hate it, and I'm like, really? I'm like, what happened? And some people love it, and there is a sentimental sappiness to it. And my favorite movie of all time, It's a Wonderful Life, Capra-esque. Like this movie has a little bit of the Capra hopefulness in it, and that works for me. And I, frankly, in a world that I've mentioned is looking pretty sad and upsetting, I like a little bit of sentimentality in my movies. So Life of Chuck is my number 2.
Yeah, excellent choice. I really, really enjoyed that when I watched it and all the performances in it are great as well. As you mentioned, specific ones, but they all were very, very good as well.
I also I consider this for the cast, but like this movie is so disconnected that none of them really feel like the true lead. I mean, obviously Chuck, you would argue, is Tom Hiddleston's the lead because he's the titular character, but
Yeah.
when you screen time wise, I don't know if that's true. And the kids are just as prominent. So like I didn't know where I would include anybody because I think everybody's great. I think everyone's really great in the film. But yeah, sorry, The Life of Chuck, number 2. What is your number 1? I feel like we might have the same number 1, but what is your number 1?
Yeah, never apologise for talking about film, Jon Berk. Now, usually this is the moment where we will get a drum roll going. We will look at each other in some kind of suspense because we actually don't quite know what number one's going to be. I feel like this year is a break from tradition. I feel like we both might know what number one's going to be. My best film of 2025, John, is one that I didn't see when it came out because I was in Tokyo, I was in Japan, and we didn't actually get to do an episode on it. Ryan Coogler's Sinners is, for me, the best film of the year. It is, and I've said that from the moment I saw it, I was like, this is already my number 1 film of the year. And I'm pretty sure I said when we did talk about it on our concessions or on a media consumption in a week or so after I came back that I'm looking forward to the BAMPies to see where this sits, and it stays at number 1 for me. Every element of it is absolutely blown out of the park. The writing, the music, the performances, Coogler's direction, the visuals, everything is fantastic. Everything serves a purpose in this film. It deals with faith, it deals with compromise of morals, it deals with guilt, a little bit of desire in there as well. It trusts the audience. It doesn't overly explain what's going on with the characters or why they're doing what they're doing. It trusts us as an audience, as an adult audience, to know what's going on and to just go along with the ride, which I think is so, how do I put it? It's so rewarding for me personally, we go to watch so many films that are commercially successful, but I don't think they have the ambition of something like Sinners, and especially when it comes to trusting its audience. And it is a film that lingers with you. It's a film that does provoke reaction. It does provoke a reflection from you. I'm sure you and I could probably sit down and do a deep dive into so many moments of Sinners, the emotional moments, the action. You mentioned Michael B. Jordan just letting loose at the end, but the soundtrack and the songs that they have, like the Irish jig and the songs that they sing in this, are fantastic, and they really are brainworms. They get stuck in your head, and I just think that everything just came together, just coalesced to make a damn near perfect film. You've got the emotion of it, you've got the technical brilliance of this film. It is just an absolute ride from start to finish. That's the music, as in like the in terms of narratively, the way that they use music, the way they use faith, the way they use family, the way that as in and community in that sense as well, and the racial undertones or the social commentary on overtones is just so well done. And it's a film which I cannot wait to go back and rewatch again and again. I've seen it twice now. I bloody loved it both times, and I can't wait to see it again. So for me, since I saw it at the end of April, it's been my number 1. And there have been some excellent films, as we've discussed already, but nothing has topped Sinners. John, are you going to pull the rug from everybody's feet here? What's your number 1 film of the year?
No, unfortunately, this is going to be as predictable as it probably should feel, especially if you listen to our end of horror movie Havoc when we did our little horror movie awards. We both had Sinners, I think, number 1 there as well. Um, I don't think in the future it's likely that a horror movie in that list will become our best picture also, but Sinners is that type of movie where it's more than just a horror film. And I've even heard people arguing that it's not. Like, I've heard people leave it off as a horror film. Like, no, 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 no. It's
It's
very
a
much a
horror film.
horror film,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of stuff going on. It's much more than just a horror film. And
What you'd expect a
um
horror film to be, at least, yeah.
yes, and it's saying more, and it has more to do, and it's not afraid to. I mean, the when it cuts to the musical number, that montage that some people love, I love, some people don't. It's reminiscent of Spike Lee breaking the fourth wall. You know, he's like, I'm going to make sure that you know this is a movie for a minute, and then we'll return to the other style where you are unaware that we're watching a movie. But for a moment, I'm going to break this, and we're going to do something powerful and meaningful, and it's going to be gorgeous. The camera work's going to be phenomenal. The music's going to hit and resonate, and it's going to make a bigger, larger point that the story is going through. And that was a huge risk. But even from the opening time when we meet the twins and the flex of camera work where we see them passing a cigarette between the two actors that is the same guy, it shouldn't be possible. I should see a line, yet I see smoke breaking. And I'm just like, granted, with CG, it's not hard to do the smoke, but man, it's seamless. It's like there are two. You're almost like, does Michael B. Jordan have a twin and I didn't know? Is he like Michael C. Jordan? What is going on?
Michael A.
Maybe Michael A. Well,
A and
that'd
B.
be triplets. But the movie's phenomenal. It's been my number one too, pretty much since I saw it. And Coogler, by coincidence, is going to be on Good Hang, the Golden Globe winning podcast with Amy Poehler tomorrow, apparently, or
Good hang.
Wednesday. Yeah, I haven't listened to the podcast. I've seen a lot of clips of it on Instagram, but I might have to check out that episode because I love listening to Coogler talk about movies and why I have no problem making Sinners my number one choice.
Yeah, it's a sweep. It's the first time in BAMPie's history that we have both picked the same film as our number one film of the year. There was one year where it looked like it was going to be Everything Everywhere All at Once, but I think I went for the Banshees of Inisherin because I love that film. And I think that's the closest we've ever got. And now we've finally done it. Sinners is our best film of 2025. The Bloody Awesome Movie Podcast has crowned Sinners as the best film of the year. And to be fair, there's been like that since April when it came out. So hopefully the Oscars can follow suit and show it some love. Word on the bird is that it could become the most nominated film in Oscar history, getting more nominations than Titanic and La La Land and all the other films as well. Which, if it does, then fantastic. You'll still have some people say it's not a horror film, but like you said, John, it very much is a horror film. Ryan Coogler on I think it's the Dead Meat Awards, the horror awards, and the Fangoria ones, was talking about how his horror film is so good. So it's definitely a horror film. So that was 2025. That was what we thought of 25. The best, the most disappointing, the most surprising, and everything in between. That was our BAMPie Awards. And to all the recipients who I know are excited to have got those awards, thank you so much for your hard work this year and congratulations. But just before we go then, we do this every year. We like to have a very quick look towards what's going to come out in the coming year, so 2026, and we want to drop our 5 most anticipated films of the year. Now, this is based sometimes on gut feeling or maybe just who's in it or who directs it, and they could end up being bloody awful. So obviously go back and have a listen to our most anticipated for last year to see if any of those came true. I might drop something on the socials to compare to see how well we did. But John, let's crack on then. 2026, what's your kind of first or fifth most anticipated film of the year?
It's really hard for me to decide because I also like to promote things that maybe people aren't aware of, but I'm going to go with my gut, like you said, and I'm going to say a movie you may or may not have heard of, The Odyssey, directed by
Ooh.
Christopher Nolan. I am a big Christopher Nolan fan. I also am a big fan of The Odyssey. Actually, I used to teach it when I taught ninth grade English. So like, it's a book that book is strong since it originates not as a book, but nevertheless, it's a story I'm very familiar with and one I adore. I like Greek mythology a whole lot. The trailers for me have not thrown me off. I'm all in with Nolan. I'm like, give me your version, Nolan, and then I will enjoy it some way, hopefully. I do hope it's great. We've been waiting. When I was teaching it, I would usually show "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" as my companion piece because there's no real good version of the Odyssey. So that was like, it's not a one for one, but here's a fun way to kind of interpret the story. I'm excited that English teachers across the world will maybe have a definitive film that they can use to show scenes from the book. But
Yeah, that's actually my number 5 as well, for all of the reasons. It's a Christopher Nolan historical epic, or historical through from a certain point of view epic. I mean, Matt Damon, Tom Holland, Anne Hathaway, Robert Pattinson, Lupita Nyong'o, Zendaya, Charlize Theron, John Bernthal, Himesh Patel, Mia Goth, so many, and that's just the kind of the top line stars in this film. You go below that, and it's just full of talent. I'm so excited to see this film. So yeah, it was not hard for me to put The Odyssey on my list as well. So I just put it in at number 5 because, like you say, everyone's heard of it and everyone knows it's coming. Doesn't mean it's going to be any good though. So what's next, John?
I would be lying if I didn't include this one because if you've been listening to the show, you might know my favorite Pixar movies are the Toy Story franchise. I love them all. And Toy Story 5 is supposed to come out this year. I won't lie and pretend that I'm not nervous about number 5 because I thought number 4 ended it perfectly. But I also thought number 3 ended it perfectly, and then I loved 4. So I'm like, maybe there's a chance they somehow do that again. I'm worried for sure because every time they do a new one, it risks, it won't tarnish the other films, I know, but at the same time, it is my favorite cartoon franchise, period. And I love these movies. So at that note, though, I am excited to see 5 because I do love these characters. So I'm not mad about getting to see them again. I'm worried that it won't be as impactful as the other 4 have been. And I hope it doesn't undo some of what 4 did because there's a character who I don't think should be in 5 and somehow is in 5. So, yeah, that's one I'm really looking forward to.
A good shout. The next one I'm going for is one that might not be in anyone's list, but I love this series of films. I think it's the most consistently great series in horror, and I'm looking forward to Scream 7 an awful lot, John. Kevin Williamson is coming to direct it. He obviously wrote Scream 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, and 4. And obviously most people see his writing as key to it. Nev Campbell's back, the whole gang's back, everyone from the past is seemingly back, and they've just released a teaser about an hour and a half ago, and it looks really cool. It's just a really cool, every phone call you've ever had, Sydney, has led up to this moment type teaser, and it's really quite good. So yeah, I just love the Scream films, John. You know me, I love horror. I love sitting in the theatre. I love watching a new Scream film. Those films get me every time. And I'm very, very excited to see what they do with this one. The last 2 I thought were very good. Let's see what they do with this one. So Scream 7, a bit of a surprise to some, but can't wait.
I was disputing having it in my 5. Now that you've said it, I won't for now because I have a big list. I'm going to go with the one though that if you know me, should be obvious, and I also alluded to earlier when I mentioned Josh O'Connor. It's Disclosure Day, the new Steven Spielberg film. Spielberg is I often don't say he's my favorite director, but if you pay attention to what I love, he's my favorite director. It's very
He is.
blatant. I love so many of his movies. I mean, Jaws is my all-time fave of his, but there's so many of his movies that I absolutely love, and I have liked his later stuff. A lot of people are kind of lukewarm to like Fablemans and to West Side Story and to Ready Player One. I don't love Ready Player One, but I love those last 2, and I don't hate Ready Player One. But Disclosure Day looks like a lot of throwback to some of the best Spielberg, whether we're talking Close Encounters or we're talking E.T. or we're getting into War of the Worlds. It has that kind of vibe, and I'm all in. I love sci-fi Spielberg, so let's do it. I can't wait. And again, you have Emily Blunt, Josh O'Connor. Just like there's some other people whose names aren't going to come to me off the top of my head, but those 2 stand out. Very hyped. Can't wait.
Yeah, I was going to put Disclosure Day in my top 5. I had a feeling you were going to as well, so I didn't. But it's certainly in my top 6. This one, my third most anticipated film is simply just for scale. I haven't really enjoyed everything that's come prior to this, but you give me a new Avengers film on this scale, I'm going to be anticipating Doomsday, John. You give the idea is so entrancing and alluring. I hate the idea. We mentioned it. I hate the idea. Here's RDJ. Here's Steve Rogers will return. Here's the Russos. We're just bringing back everyone from the dead because we're bankrupt of ideas. But let's none of us pretend that it's not going to be exciting if we get to see everyone back on screen again. I am a sucker for this. What I don't like is the news that I read earlier on that it's apparently aiming to be 3 hours and 45 minutes long. If that
Oh,
is correct, it is suddenly off of my anticipated list because I'll consider not watching it if I have to sit there for nearly 4 hours. But I'm lying, John. I know I haven't always been Marvel's biggest fan in more recent years, but I would be lying to myself if I tried to say I'm not excited. I'm not going to be there for opening night. I'm not going to be anticipating this film because, of course, I am. It's just it's the biggest film release of the year, and I don't think it's even close. And I am looking forward to it. I just hope it's not crap, and I don't have high hopes that isn't going to be the case. But looking forward to Avengers Doomsday nonetheless, John.
I have number 2 here, Project Hail Mary, mostly because of Ryan Gosling. I am a big Ryan Gosling fan, but also I think the trailer looks phenomenal. I've heard the book is incredible. I do have the audiobook. I haven't started it yet, but
I've
it's
heard
like
it's
I'm
great.
kind of on the fence. Apparently the trailer contains some spoilers though that from the structure of the book that you're not supposed to know
Yeah.
and yet it's in the trailer, and I'm not going to say what it is in case someone has avoided the
I'm
trailer,
not going to watch
but
it. Yeah.
um I am very excited for it. Again, I'm a big Ryan Gosling fan, and anytime he gets to do anything, I find him so charming and watchable on screen, and the trailer just cements that for me. So, Project Hail Mary, that's on my list.
It was going to make my list as well, not to sound like a broken record, but it didn't
It's
make the
also
top
Phil Lord
five.
and Chris Miller directing, which they haven't. We didn't get Solo, so we haven't had a live action movie of theirs since I think 22 Jump Street, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
right? Because they did the animated stuff.
I think you're right, yeah. And then in terms of Star Wars talk, Gosling's in Starfighter next year, 2027. So win-win for the franchise. Yeah, that almost made my top five, but because I haven't seen any of the trailers, I would go anticipated simply because the Goz is leading it, and it's also got a really good cast beneath him as well. But I haven't seen the trailers. I'm now not going to because of what you've just said. So thank you so much for that. My number 2 most anticipated film of 2026 is The Bride. Jesse Buckley, Christian Bale, that trailer, those vibes, those aesthetics. It looks
Maggie Gyllenhaal.
but it looks sensational, John. I really hope they nail this because it looks like one of those films that could come out and stay at the top of the list for the BAMPies from when it comes out to the end of this year, early next year. I cannot wait. I think Jessie Buckley already looks like she's going to steal it just from the trailer we've seen. So she could win a BAMPie 2 years in a row. But yeah, The Bride is number 2 for me, but it's, at this point, it's interchangeable.
So I'm on 1, right?
Sir, yes, sir.
Okay. I guess I got confused of who went first. My number 1 is because of the director, David Lowery. I am a major David Lowery fan, and I keep singing his praises, and I want him to be a bigger name for other people, not just because he's bald like me, but because I think he does tremendous work. I think his movies are always interesting. I think there's so much humanity to them. But this film's called Mother Mary. The trailer dropped. It looks insane. It looks phenomenal. Horror, music, thriller, drama. I'm just like, yeah, you bringing all that to one movie? I'm in. Who's the star? Oh, Anne Hathaway. Okay. There's other people in the cast that I'm also extremely excited for. Um, I'm assuming that's either his daughter or his sister-in-law, Athena Frizzell, because his wife is Augustine Frizzell. So, uh, I'm a big fan of his in general, and so when I saw the trailer for this, he's so stylistic. I loved Green Knight. I loved Old Man with a Gun, where it's a lot less style and just
Right.
more of a intimate like crime drama. And then his 2 live action, well, Pete's Dragon technically was always live action, so it's just a remake of the old Pete's Dragon. I love his version. I think it's undersung, and I also think Peter Pan and Wendy is underseen but phenomenal. It's on Disney Plus. If you have it, check it out. It's such a cool take on the Peter Pan story. I think he's just such a refreshing filmmaker and style wise. When I saw he had this film and what it looks like, I was like, oh yeah, I'm in. I'm so in on this movie. So, Mother Mary coming out this year.
Yeah, man. I remember you sent me a message with the trailer. I watched it. I was like, I couldn't be any more in if you tried having watched that. But it isn't my number 1. most anticipated film of the year, and it's annoying because now I feel like I should have included it. If we had a top 10, it would have been on there, but I had to stick to my guns. My number one most anticipated film of 2026 is a film that won my top film of the year a few years ago. It was runner-up the other year. Dune 3 is my most anticipated film of 2026. I hope Denis Villeneuve can absolutely nail this final part, because I think the first two films are fantastic spectacles, and I really hope we get that third film really knock it out of the park. I have no reason to doubt Villeneuve, and I have no reason to doubt Chalamet in the lead and Zendaya as well, and none of anyone else involved. So I had to put it in there. It's the film which I'm going to be seated for. I think it's December the 18th. I think it's slated for. I think, unless it's moved. I cannot wait to sit down and watch what I hopefully will be the third in a brilliant trilogy. So Dune Part 3 is my most anticipated film of the year. And to be fair there, John, that's 10 films or 9 or 10 films which makes 2026 out to be quite a good year in film already, potentially. And that's just the films we've mentioned. There are so many coming out, and I'm thinking obviously horror films, but outside of that, which will either creep up on us, which we know about, which shouldn't make the list, but are going to make 2026 hopefully a good year. And we're going to know it's a good year this time next year, when we're really struggling to put our BAMPies winners together, because hopefully there's too many choices. But I think those 10 films may find a way to sneak on our lists somehow. But that is going to call it then for the BAMPies for the 6th annual BAMPies, covering the best and most disappointing films of 2025. John, do you feel suitably BAMPed out now? BAMPied out?
I am. It's hard to make that list, even though we kind of keep a running record of it throughout the year. It's still like at the end, you're just like, there's so many good movies. And there really were. There were a lot of things that I could have cycled in and out, a lot of performances I could have cycled in and out. But at the end of the day, I am still happy with the choices that I made.
Yeah, same here. You're always going to kind of think, oh, should I put that one there? Should I put that one there? It's official now. The choices have been made. Next year, we might look back and think, man, should have changed that. But too late. I'm looking forward to next year's one. I say that at the end of every year. Can't wait for next year's, because it means we've had another hopefully great year of film. But it does mean we are getting an extra year older. But let's not worry about that too much. So let's bring the curtain down on the BAMPies for another year, John. And we are going to tell you, though, that we are going to be back again next week. Normal service will resume. And January is usually a dumping ground for crap films. So hopefully 28 years later, the Bone Temple is going to buck that trend, because that is what we're going to be talking about next week. Now, I saw it about a month ago already. John's going to see it very soon if he hasn't already. And I'm not going to say a word about it, but hey, 28 years later was great. So I'm looking forward to talking about the Bone Temple as a follow-up to that film. So tune in next week for our non-spoiler review of 28 years later, the Bone Temple. Now, if you want to talk to us about any of our BAMPies choices, if you want more recommendations, if you want to disagree with any of our choices respectfully, you can do so. You can find us online. Go to Blue Sky and Letterboxd, search at BAMP_podcast, BAMP_podcast. John, where are we on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok?
We're at Bloody Awesome Movie Pod.
Yes, sir. We're also on Facebook. Just search Bloody Awesome Movie Podcast. The reviews go up on the Tomato Meter, because we are a Rotten Tomatoes approved outlet. Obviously, this one won't, because it's a review show, but all the other ones will do. So we contribute to that percentage, which too many people fight over each and every week. And if you want to follow me to talk about films, you can do. Just go to whatiwatchtonight.co.uk and search What I Watched Tonight across all of the socials, including Letterboxd. John, where in the world are you?
I'm at BerkReviews.com and at BerkReviews on all the social media platforms, including my recent review of Primate. So if you're curious what I thought about Primate, go read my review at BerkReviews.com.
He's not monkeying around. Yes, sir. If you like what we're doing here on the Bloody Awesome Movie Podcast, and we sure hope that you do, because we're now entering our 8th year, I believe, of existence, please do consider dropping us a 5-star rating and review on whatever podcast provider you're using, because those 5 stars genuinely do help the show grow. It gets more listeners in, which means we can converse with more film fans each and every week. But with that, from the BAMPies, thank you, and as always, stay bloody awesome.
Keep watching movies.
Bloody awesome! Bloody awesome!